Okay, first off, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to do this interview for us today for my nonprofit organizations class at the University of Idaho. And would like you to introduce yourself and tell us your name and your organization's name and your organization's mission.
Sure. My name is Shannon Williamson, and I'm the Executive Director of Lake Pend Oreille Waterkeeper. And our mission, to put it very briefly, is to protect the water quality of Lake Pend Oreille and all of the affiliated waters in the watershed.
Okay. Would you tell us briefly about your story, how you came to be the Executive Director of Lake Pend Oreille Waterkeepers?
Sure. Actually, coming into this position was quite a career change for me. I had moved from San Diego, California, to be closer to some extended family up here in North Idaho. And I was formerly running a research facility that focused on studying marine viruses. So this was quite a departure from that. I had learned about the organization when I was looking into different volunteer opportunities in the area, and the mission really resonated with me. And it turned out that the former executive director was actually looking to move on to do something else. And it was a perfect opportunity, and it really fit with what I was looking to do.
Good, that sounds great. Actually, I was going to ask what about Lake Pend Oreille Waterkeepers interested you, and I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fantastic organization, and from my research, I found it to be one of the only local groups that was working to protect water quality in a really proactive way. So they were seeking out forms of pollution and identifying polluters and working to stop it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your introduction. Since our time is limited, I would like to focus our conversation on the role of volunteers in your nonprofit. And can you give us some insight into your volunteer program?
Sure. I feel like we have a very active and growing volunteer program. I think it's pretty dynamic. We're very proud of it. We try to offer our volunteers diverse opportunities, but we're also always challenging ourselves to come up with new and exciting things that will resonate with the community.
Okay. How important are volunteers to your mission?
I would say extremely important. We have a very succinct mission, but it's also very challenging. Protecting water quality may sound very simple and straightforward, but it's actually very difficult. And we can't do it on our own. We only have 2 full-time staff members, and we really do rely on the dedication and strength of our volunteers to help us achieve our goals.
Has the Lake Pend Oreille Waterkeepers been able to, how has Lake Pend Oreille Waterkeepers been able to utilize the volunteers? What capacity?
So we use volunteers in a variety of different ways. Sometimes they're directly involved in addressing our priority issues. Other times they're involved with things that are going on in the sidelines that help us run, more smoothly as an organization, like event preparation and carry through, participating in some of our scientific programs, like our water quality monitoring program, or just kind of contributing to administrative duties.
Okay. Sounds like there's a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
And my next question, if I wanted to become a volunteer, how would I do that?
There's a couple of different ways. I guess one of the most straightforward ways, if an individual is not really comfortable with using the internet, would be just to call us. Mm-hmm. Our phone number is 208-597-7188. We also have a wonderful web page, and under that web page, if you go to the home page, which is www.lakependoreillewaterkeeper.org, there's a Get Involved tab, and under the Get Involved tab, there's a Volunteer tab. Okay. And that's where we can collect someone's information, their name, their phone number, best time to contact them, and they can also indicate to us what they'd like to become involved with specifically.
Okay. And you update that and keep them informed as to what's available?
Right. There's general interests, but when we do have a specific program or project, then we update it and try to get that word out to the community as well.
Okay, sounds great. How do you keep your volunteers motivated?
Well, I think one of the keys to keeping volunteers motivated is coming up with intriguing and fun things to do and making them feel like they really are contributing to the mission and helping us achieve our goal. And we try to also, in addition to keeping it fresh and fun, give the appropriate acknowledgement to our volunteers and especially broadcast their activities to the broader community. And we're hoping to do that in a more formal capacity as we get a little bit bigger and have some volunteer appreciation events a couple times a year.
That sounds great. Sounds like exactly what we've been studying about.
Oh, good.
That's how to do that. Who does the planning, like, for the volunteers?
So I think that's kind of I would describe that as a collaboration between myself and our program director, Kelsey Brisser. Kelsey really does, she's wonderful with planning and development of volunteer opportunities, and then we work together on training volunteers and carrying out events.
Okay. Has the Lake Oreille Waterkeeper volunteer base grown in the, I guess you've been here?
About a year and a half,
Okay.
yeah. I would definitely say it has grown. We still, our goal is to always recruit additional volunteers, but in the time since I've taken over as executive director, I have seen an increased interest as well as volunteer activities. So that's been really thrilling, and we think that's kind of in response primarily to the formalization of our water quality monitoring program last summer. And so we're kind of using that as a model on how to engage additional people to work with us.
And so why do you think that water quality monitoring, why was that kind of
important?
Yeah.
I think it really gave people the opportunity to do hands-on work, and they were really immersed literally in the water in helping us determine what the health of the lake and the river was and is. And we couldn't do it without the investment of the volunteers. And I think we communicated that to the volunteers very clearly, and they were invested in producing high quality data for us, and we kept them updated and involved throughout the entire process.
That sounds great. What are the current issues that Lake Oreille Waterkeeper is addressing, and where have volunteers been involved in that?
So we have several issues that we're addressing. We advocate for the reduced use of pesticides to manage aquatic invasive weeds. We raise community awareness about the dangers or hazards surrounding increased coal train passage through the county. We also are watchdogs over wastewater and stormwater issues. And I would say where our volunteer involvement is probably most heavily focused recently has been with the coal train issue. We have been engaging the community in submitting their public comments and concerns to specific agencies, letting them know what their concerns were for their local communities and the ramifications of these projects that could be coming through the county. And our volunteers have been very active at submitting their comments and also actually physically going to scoping meetings and hearings, whether it's locally here or in Spokane. And we also have had a lot of active volunteer engagement around the pesticide issue. We worked with the Sandpoint City Council to instill more ecologically sound methods of removing aquatic invasive plants, and our volunteers were very actively involved in that process of contributing their testimony when it came time to make those decisions at a city level.
Oh, that's great. I wasn't aware of all that. Yeah. What do you recommend in planning for the unexpected in general and regarding volunteers?
Well, it's always difficult to plan for the unexpected, but I guess I would say the key to that is to be flexible and to respond quickly, whether that's to a developing issue that threatens water quality in the watershed. I think it also applies to volunteers. If you have a drastic change in volunteer engagement at a critical time, you just have to be creative in how you're going to address that problem.
Okay. Well, I know that for the water quality, you had to cover a couple shifts.
Yes, but that was fun. I love it. So that's more than happy to do it.
What is your favorite volunteer story?
So there's actually a couple,
Okay.
but the one that that's most recent in my memory is we held a documentary, or we hosted a documentary screening at our local theater here called Last Call at the Oasis, which highlights a lot of really critical water issues around quality and quantity. And it was free to the community, and we were raising funds to actually donate to the city of Sandpoint to support their diver-assisted hand-pulling project for the removal of aquatic invasive weeds around City Beach. And we had a middle school student that we became one of our volunteers through some of the outreach we had done with some of the 6th grade classes throughout the county, and he's incredibly enthusiastic about everything water related. And we actually asked him if he would come to the event and help us announce that we were raising funds for this particular project and do it in a creative way. So he came dressed up in his diver outfit, and he had on a wetsuit, and he had on flippers, and we gave him a bucket and pail, and he walked around and very articulately spoke to all of the audience members about what we were trying to accomplish, and just his sheer enthusiasm for the cause was just so thrilling. And he was just really an inspiration, I think, for a lot of people that were there.
That's great. That sounds great. So what have you learned the hard way?
With respect to volunteers, or just in general?
I think in general, whatever.
I think it's a pretty big challenge to get a lot of things accomplished with a small staff, and currently we're blessed to have a really wonderful program director that is helping us meet our goals quicker than we could possibly imagine. But in my former experiences, I've learned that it is really, really important to have staff that is super motivated and very, very dedicated to your cause, because that's the only way that you're going to reach your goals, especially in such a small organization where every second counts. And when you encounter problems, at least for me, what I've learned, it's best to address them immediately than to kind of wait and see, right. And hope for the best. So since I've been on board, that's probably been my biggest lesson. So.
And any insights you could share as to, it kind of sounds like you already have, but.
As to?
Well, I was, just any insights, I think in general, it's.
I'd say, with respect to just nonprofit management, it's a different task every day, which is one of the things that I find really exciting about this job. One day you're focusing you're focusing on probably 20 different things in a day. You start out your day working on some fundraising event, and then you're, responding to a call to the pollution hotline, and the next thing you're doing is doing some counting, and it goes back and forth between all these different types of duties. And I think for me personally, that keeps everything very fresh, but you also have to mentally partition everything that's going on and be a very good multitasker. So if someone was thinking about going into this type of work, I think you have to really, really enjoy multitasking, while keeping, I think creativity comes into it as well. You have to just constantly brainstorm about how you're going to reach that next goal.
Sounds like a lot of flexibility and persistence.
A lot of persistence. Yeah.
Was there anything that you would have done differently?
That's hard for me to say specifically, since I don't really feel like I've been here for a super extended period of time. I always think about what we can do better.
Right. Well, that's good.
And that's a ongoing and expanding list, I think, on a daily basis. And I think, as I mentioned previously on the previous topic, part of that is expanding our volunteer base, expanding our reach in the community. That's a huge challenge for us. Sandpoint has an unusually large number of nonprofits for such a small town, and a lot of them are environmentally focused. So trying to grasp people's attention and get them to understand the importance of your mission can be really challenging. So we're always thinking of different and unique ways to do that.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and in closing I'd like to ask, what has been your proudest moment working for Lake Oreille Waterkeepers?
I guess I would say our accomplishment of working with the city council to, and we first encouraged them, and then they actually carried through with this, to reject the use of herbicides to treat Eurasian water milfoil in the waters at a very popular swim area that's frequented by tourists and locals alike. They said no to the offer by the Department of Agriculture to take care of this problem for free, and we came up with a plan together to put this program into place to use divers instead. And we carried that out last summer. We felt that it was really successful, and we're moving forward with the program for the next couple of years, or that's our intention. And I think the community was extremely thrilled, and we got a lot of great feedback from it, and we're just happy to have made that difference.
Yeah, I think that is a great, that's a big accomplishment, and
Yeah.
they did that for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we're hoping to keep it going as long as we possibly can, but they've committed to at least 3 years, so that's great.
Well, good. Well, I really appreciate your time, Shannon.
Yeah,
And I
no
think
problem.
that you've given us a lot of insight as to what it takes to be involved in a nonprofit.
Well, thank you.
You've done a great
It's my
job.
pleasure.